This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Detroit is the greatest!
Straight up light you on fire for a Coney dog right now.
Darren McCarty comes back with Neiman in front of him. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty scores! A magnificent goal! Darren McCarty!
Stafford takes, throws, end zone, Calvin, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Motor City Sports Rant, Detroit Sports Podcast.com. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Vinny Stubbs. Sitting across from me is the king, Jason Jarvi. Sitting to my left is the phone, John Macaroon. I'm sorry about last week, gentlemen. How have you been?
Okay. I'm a little offended why you weren't here. I think you were kind of drunk.
You know what's really funny about this situation? I actually picked up on a shift at the AM station. So Macaroon was right about that. I was handling my business, but you were right at the same time because afterwards I had to go home and try to figure out that board.
Yeah, I was. I did.
You nailed it. I was listening to it, and I started laughing my ass off. You couldn't have been more on. It was the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Were you hungover that day?
No, I wasn't.
You didn't drink on Easter?
No, not on Easter. No, hell no, I'm not drinking on Easter. Come on. Did you guys have a good Easter?
We did. Yeah, we both had like some sort of brunch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I played horse on Easter with friends of the family, and I actually won one game, and I have the worst shot on the planet. So that's why I talk about sports instead of playing it. But my Easter was fantastic.
What'd you guys eat?
I had ham, turkey.
Ham's pretty standard.
I had mashed potatoes. Dude, it was outstanding.
I just want to potatoes right now.
What's that?
I could go for some mashed potatoes right now.
Dude, I could just eat nonstop.
You put your stuff in the mashed potatoes?
Put what stuff? Everything?
Yeah.
Like green beans and stuff?
Oh, no, I was
cheese?
going to say something else.
Oh, my.
Did you hear my jokes? I tried to be you.
When?
I asked last week if John hid the sausage.
I didn't hear the whole thing.
You actually made length or girth, too.
Yeah, I heard that part. I skipped certain parts because you guys will talk about certain things that I can't relate to, so I'll skip through certain things and I listen to. But I do love you guys, and I do listen when I'm not here.
About wieners enough?
No, see, come on. It's not like that.
Listen to the Vinny Stubbs show.
Thank you very much. It was a kind of a disaster. Let me tell you something right now. I would like to apologize to my buddy John Macaroon. And I want to praise you for editing every single podcast that we do. I had no idea how strenuous it is to actually put up with my bullshit, go home, and cut it up into pieces and make it sound professional. I couldn't believe it. And then I'm working with two guys that have no broadcasting experience. I'm in an apartment. It's a total disaster. I don't know how to work the board. Nothing's working right. I got a 22-year-old version that's not talking into the mic. And then I send it to John. We had 42 takes. And I send it to him, and he sends it back and goes, I can't post this shit. I was so offended. I'm like, John, I'm going to rip your balls off. What? And he sent it back to me at one wavelength on the software program that we use. I could not believe how bad it sounded. I apologized immediately. I'm like, John, dude, I am so sorry. It was so bad, Jason. Did you hear the rough draft?
I didn't hear the rough draft. I heard what came out. I'm good. It's probably good.
It was rough enough. You can imagine how bad it sounded.
You know, it kind of worked out. Got a little sketchy towards the end.
Yeah, I apologize.
Pete was
for
a little further away from the mic than he probably.
He wouldn't talk. Well, you know what? I told him his breath smelled like a shit sandwich with cheese, and it kind of offended him, and he walked away. And
Did he put some gum in?
What's that?
Did he put some gum in?
2 pieces of Orbit.
Didn't help though.
No, it didn't. He came back. I think he got halitosis to some kind of a degree. It was really troubling. It was bothering the shit out of me. I couldn't take it.
That's unfortunate.
And you can also now appreciate that when you come here, you spend an hour with some guys that actually want to talk into the mic and boom, and yet you can actually hear and conversate with, and not have to do so much, at least basic broadcast training.
Right. Well, I'm trying to expand the network as much as I can and try to show you my appreciation and try to build. And I'm working with, I coast off of you two guys. And I had no idea how strenuous it is working with two guys that don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, it's total chaos, especially when I'm the third wheel pretty much. And I'm trying to steer the ship. It's impossible. So it turned out to be a disaster, but I love it. And I'm going to continue. And hopefully we're going to grow.
So the first show came out on Monday. When are their weekly shows, the Vinny Stubbs show, going to come out?
Sundays.
Okay, that's what we're going to try to do.
It was a disaster, and I apologize. The problem was we went downriver that night. We got annihilated, and I woke up really late. And
Do you want to elaborate on what happened that night?
No, we're not going to talk about that. That was Friday night. Saturday night was a real disaster. We went downriver at a bar, and I watched the Pistons and the Bulls. And you heard Pete do the news on that. So the Pistons,
Yeah, he
they're 5 games.
he might need to practice that a little bit more.
He needs to talk into the. No, he's perfect at doing that, Jason. No, that's phenomenal. So listen to this. I'm at this bar downriver, and I'm watching the Pistons take care of business against the Bulls, even though you guys lost the Maple Leafs. That sucks. You guys were eliminated, and I called it in October.
We're not eliminated.
You guys are done.
We're currently in the. We'll get to this a little bit
Wait a
later.
minute.
But they're currently in the playoffs right now.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Are they really?
Yes.
And the Wings won the game. Didn't they win the game?
They won
for Toronto?
3-2.
Yes,
They
beat
won
the Maple
3-2 against the
Leafs.
Maple Leafs.
Yeah, you said
Yeah.
they lost.
I just said they lost.
They lost the
What
game
the hell
before.
am I thinking? I'm thinking of the game before. I apologize, but I was paying attention to the Pistons and Bulls because the Pistons are going to the playoffs, and I told you. And didn't you give me a loss on the Doc on that one? And I called it, and I was right. Anyway, they're 5 games over 500, John. And I was watching the game, and I'm like the only Pistons fan in Michigan. I'm like, because I've been paying attention to them ever since they traded Billups for Iverson, and it's been a disaster. And it's finally starting to come together. I mean, granted, they have no defense and they don't care to have one, but they're going to make the playoffs. I'm so damn happy. I'm proud. I'm screaming. I'm clapping. I fell out of my seat at the bar. That's what I'm trying to get to.
What kind of seat was this? Was this like a low chair? Or was this like a high
it
top?
was like 4 feet up in the air, and I fell on my ass. It was embarrassing.
That's not good.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
You
It
got
was
a drop
pretty-
for us, John?
It was bad.
Were you
gonna pull it out? Dan
Can you
Miller?
get some?
You gonna throw the
I can give you this.
Thank you, Dan. It's not even. That's what everybody did at the bar when I
They
fell
all
on my
laughed at
ass.
you.
Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing.
But what's not to laugh at is the Pistons' performance.
Hey, yes, absolutely. They're 5 games over 500, and they're going to take care of business at Miami, hopefully.
I mean, how amazing is it that they're going to finish 500 or better this year?
I can't believe it. I'm so excited. Well, even if they lose out, they lose 5 games in a row, they're 500.
Yeah, they're still 500.
They exceeded my expectations. I thought the East, since last year was so brutal, that they would finish 4 games under 500 at the
Right.
beginning of the season, but
And
they
that
would
would've
still
still
make the
gone.
playoffs.
Right. But, with 5 games left, they do have a tough matchup coming up. And they're still fighting with Chicago. They're only 2 games behind them. They have at Miami, at Orlando, at home against Washington and Miami, and they finish out the season at Cleveland.
They can lose out.
It's possible. Those are all really good teams. Miami, that's a playoff team. Orlando, it's not a gimme, but I think that's a game that you need to win.
Right.
Washington is a team that's still kind of competing, and you're kind of going to hope that Cleveland has everything wrapped up, and they're just looking to sit people.
I hope that's
for
the
that
case.
last
And don't
game.
forget that Washington just beat us on ESPN by 43 points before we went on that 9-game homestand. And the Pistons are 16-22 away from the Palace. And Contavious Caldwell-Pope struggles on the road. And Andre Drummond.
He struggles on the
I
road.
love Andre
but
Drummond, but he's so bad
that
defending
game
in the
against
paint.
the Bulls, though, on Saturday night, that was probably the biggest game
Of the year.
Of the year.
Yeah, both
And probably
games
the
were against the
longest time.
Bulls. Remember the 4th overtime, the game they went to
Yep.
a couple months ago?
They played them really hard all season. In this game, if they would have lost that game, it would have meant these next 5 games are almost all must wins. Because I think at that point, I think the Bulls are like a half game behind you, but then the Bulls own all of the tiebreakers.
Right.
So winning that game, it gives you a little bit of comfort, but you're still going to have to take care of business, or you have to hope for the Bulls to lose. I think I heard somewhere that a magic number is 3, and that's a combination of Piston wins or Bulls losses. So I don't know. What do they need to do to get in? They have 5 games left.
I think they need to go 3-2. They should beat Orlando, Washington, and hopefully LeBron and everybody sitting down in the last game for Cleveland, because I don't think we can beat those other 2 teams.
Well, the other 2 games are against Miami. I think they could take one of those against Miami.
But they're both in Miami, right?
No, one's at home, one's at. I think the one tomorrow is in Miami.
Yeah, Miami's
The
good.
game before the end of the season is at home.
Yeah, I don't know, man. What seed are they? Like the 4th? Miami?
I'll
They're
check
12 games
that
over
right now.
500. I know they're 44-32.
The Miami Heat currently sit at they're the 5th seed.
So the Hornets are the 4th or the 6th?
Boston's 4th, Miami's 5th,
Boston?
Charlotte's
Oh,
6th.
did you see Boston beat Golden State the other night?
Yeah,
Wow.
in Golden State.
I was watching it in the 3rd quarter, and I looked over at my buddy. I'm like, I think Boston's going to beat them.
Yeah.
So now I think I got the Spurs winning the whole thing.
Here's a side question. We can get back to Pistons in a second.
Like, I'll try.
If the Warriors, if they break this the Bulls record for regular season wins and they don't win the championship, does it mean anything?
No, not at all. And I was just thinking about that the other day. It's an excellent question. I think they are going to beat that record, and I think that they're going to lose in the Western Conference Finals of the San Antonio Spurs.
I think it's going to be really close because last year they didn't have to play the Spurs, and that was one of the big reasons why they still played the Rockets. They still had to play the Cavs, even though the Cavs were without Kyrie Irving, without Kevin Love.
They had Dellavedova playing.
If that's going to be the biggest test, is if they win, even if they get the record or not. If they have to go up against the Spurs in the finals, but can the Spurs make it? I mean, they've looked like they're beating off the.
He said beating off.
They're holding off death essentially because they have just a ton of old guys. You know, when you're Tim Duncan,
John, can you say
Tony
that?
Parker, Manu Ginobili, those are your three mainstays. You have Kawhi Leonard, you got LaMarcus Aldridge, but it doesn't really make sense how they stay so good. Am I right, or it's inconceivable, right?
Absolutely. I think it's going to come down to Greg Popovich versus Steve Kerr. And I think Greg Popovich, they have a better depth, and it's practically just going to come down to experience. And Greg Popovich has been there. Granted, they're older than the Golden State Warriors, and the Warriors won last year. I think the San Antonio Spurs, it might go to Game 7, but I think that the Spurs are going to end up getting the W. And it's a shame because Golden State is going to beat that record, but it's going to mean absolutely nothing, and that's where we're at.
It does kind of suck. But
I could be wrong though. The Warriors can win it all. What the hell do I know?
They did it last year. But back to the Pistons. Or do you have anything else on the Warriors?
Just don't forget about the Clippers because Blake Griffin's back.
Oh, dude, the Clippers. Why do you even?
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Clippers either. I'm just saying that he hasn't played since Christmas and he just came back yesterday.
Blake Griffin is a horrible player. It's going to be San Antonio, Golden State, and OKC. Those are the three teams you got to worry about.
Yeah, OKC too. Yeah.
The Clippers, they're still missing something. They have Chris Paul, but I think he's getting up there in age. Blake Griffin is a head case, and DeAndre Jordan? They don't have that one other person. You know, Golden State has a ton of people. They have their big three guys of Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson, and then they have a whole bunch of role players that they step in when necessary. San Antonio, we already talked about who they have. The Clippers don't have the personnel to compete.
Well, I just threw it out there to try to,
Well, you're crazy.
Yeah, you know how I do. Listen, this is what's going on. You ready for this?
Tell me.
So if the Pistons get into the playoffs into the 8th seed, which I think is going to be happen, they're going to get swept by Cleveland. But if they're the 7th seed, they're going to play the Toronto Raptors. I don't think they'll win that series, but I think they can get a couple W's and it'll translate in the next season and they can build off of that. Can they get to the 7th seed? I'm going to read off to you the next 5 games for the Pacers. Cleveland, at Toronto.
Hold on. These are for who?
The Indiana Pacers, because we're neck and neck with them. Okay, so they're at home against the Cavaliers tomorrow.
Loss.
At Toronto.
Loss.
At home against the Nets.
That's a win.
At home against the Knicks.
That's a win.
In Milwaukee.
That might be you said Milwaukee?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're playing Cleveland.
They decide to play whenever they want. They have some stars on that team. That the Greek Freak and Greg Monroe, the Moose.
See, I think that the Pacers are going to finish with the 7th seed, but I could be wrong because I thought the Bulls were going to sketch out the Pistons.
But I think you've completely written off the Pistons if they get in the 8th seed. I'm not saying that they're going to win against the Cavaliers.
They have no depth.
But I think that they can at least give the Cavaliers, they can put them through their paces. I could see them winning 1 or maybe 2 games.
Right.
And I think it would be interesting if they got into a series with the Cavs and actually took game 1. If they took game 1, I think LeBron James, it does one of two things. Either he comes back game 2 ultra focused and he carries that Cavs team the rest of the way. They just blow us out the rest of the way. Or there's already the doubt in his mind if he can actually do it in Cleveland. And if they lose that game 1, it could also get into his head. I think it could start to rattle. It could start to just eat at that team. He might try to do too much, and maybe we take game 2 or game 3. Maybe we're up in the series after 3 games, and who knows?
How many years are left in LeBron's contract? Do you have any idea? Because I've seen on ESPN he unfollowed the team from Twitter, and he's all pissed off at them and everything. And then the number 1 seed in the East.
I believe he
can opt out this year at the end of the year.
So
yeah, he unfronted them,
and he's going to
unfollowed them. Sorry.
Yeah, and he's going to opt out. And the reason why you do that is to maximize your money. So he's going to opt out and test the market.
He's going to opt out because of the whole. The NBA gets some ridiculous revenue share, and he can max out his contract at some ungodly number.
I would say exactly. If in terms of which team you want to play, Toronto or Cleveland, you want to play Cleveland. And with the talk of Andre Drummond, if he's struggling late, you have to kind of give credit to Aaron Baines, who's come in there and made it an easy choice for Stan Van Gundy when Andre Drummond's late. I think he was 1 for 10 the other night, and he didn't play the last 5.5 minutes because Aaron Baines is out there, and you can put him in there. If Andre Drummond can start the game, can be the guy that plays well on defense and gets all the rebounds. If he's struggling with the free throws, you put in Aaron Baines. He's allowed SVG to do that because without him, then the Pistons would have been struggling as of late.
Baines is sloppy too, and he misses a lot of layups, and he turns the ball over a lot on offense.
So does Reggie Jackson.
And so
we turn over the ball way too much as a team.
Yeah, I understand that. They're really young. I don't think I like Reggie Jackson either, but you know what's even worse? When they bench him and put Steve Blake out there, they scored no points.
It comes and goes.
Yeah.
There's a couple of games when he goes in there and he looks like he's a grandfather time.
Calm down, John. You're going to get your $25 a day. Relax, man. Jesus.
No, you got to be honest. I'm watching WrestleMania in the background. I'm excited.
Here's a question. If we do go up against the Cavs, KCP is far and away our best defender. Who do you put him up against? Do you put him up against...
You're going to have to put him up against the best.
Do you put him up against Kyrie or do you put him against LeBron?
Dude, that's an excellent question. I do not know. That's a phenomenal question.
Because I think
I think you put Tobias on Kyrie Irving and you put KCP, our best defender, on their best player, which is LeBron.
I mean,
we're going to get swept.
I mean, KCP, just thinking of KCP and LeBron, I mean, LeBron he's a monster of a man.
Yeah, I know that.
But I think it's a better matchup for us against the Cavs because KCP, whether he is against LeBron or Kyrie, he's gonna take that guy out, and he's gonna make it hell for that guy. And if Andre can play sound defensively, because we've seen that when he's dialed in and he's come to play and he's ready to play defense, that the team is just better as a whole. I think matchup against Toronto gets a little bit difficult because they have two really good guards with Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan. They're just scary. They can pick and shoot. It'd be a tough matchup, and I also think that Toronto, they travel a lot better than Cleveland for whatever reason. I mean, I think Cleveland's a little bit closer than Toronto, but they don't want to make the trek. But Toronto, I don't know if you were there last year when I think you might have been there.
You were there.
I know I was there for
I was not
the game
there.
when
I
Toronto
remember. Yeah,
was in the Palace, and it was a Toronto home game.
I remember. You were
it was
telling me
the
about
North
it.
South.
I watched it on television. So
would you guys be excited if they make the playoffs? I mean, first time.
Yeah, hell yeah,
2009?
I'm excited, man. What are you talking about?
Because a lot of people are also saying, you know what? The Pistons and the Wings are at spots where they're just kind of getting into the playoffs, and they're going to get probably eliminated in the first round.
You guys the Red Wings aren't going to the playoffs.
There's still a strong chance,
dude.
There's still a good chance.
We'll talk about that.
You guys have you've played 2 more games in Philadelphia.
It's not about Philadelphia anymore. It's about Boston.
Yeah, and the
Philly's out.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, but the point
See
is
where
that
my head's at?
Yeah, but the point is that though, right now both teams are in situations where they're just kind of gonna, their expectations when they get to the playoffs aren't that great. I mean, you guys we're hoping to get 1 or 2 games.
Yeah, but the Pistons haven't been there. The Wings are on this streak that everybody is still glorifying, which it could very well come to an end.
So you'd be excited to see a playoff series with the Pistons in it, even though they might get swept.
Yeah, because they're going to build off of that, and then the next year they get a good draft pick, and then they make another good trade. You can be a 6th seed next year, and you can win a round.
Because I think that's also something you need as a young basketball team is you need to get that experience. You see, and I've seen in games this year that, and it's sometimes after back-to-backs. Maybe it's even sometimes those first games in a back-to-back where the starters, they just don't come to play. You see the effort isn't there. The only guy defending is KCP, and they're just not in it. And I think what they really need is that playoff atmosphere to learn how to play like that. And you see that especially in the last couple of games that they played against the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks, every time they've played us, they've came to play, and they know what to do.
Right. Well, this is what I got going. This is my prediction because the season's going to be pretty much over by the next time our podcast comes out next week. Okay, so I told you the Pacers schedule, and I told you the Pistons schedule. The Pacers have 1 more game left than the Pistons. I'm going to say they lose to Cleveland, they lose to the Raptors, beat the Nets, they're going to lose to the Knicks. The Knicks spoiled the Bulls' chances 2 games in a row, and they're going to do it to the Pacers, and they'll beat the Bucks. So they'll go 2-3, and we could finish 3-1. If we could beat Miami in one of those 2 games, we have to beat Miami in one of those 2 games. Either we win 3 in a row now, or we lose in Miami tomorrow, and then beat the Magic, Wizards, and Heat at home. We can finish with the 7th seed and win a couple games in Toronto. So I'm picking them to finish as the 7th seed in the East. And they'll win 2 games against the Toronto Raptors, and they're going to build on it. The future looks bright. They need to re-sign Andre Drummond. Take it away.
I agree. That's a good analysis. 44, 45 wins. I would hope that, maybe they could match up better with
They
Cleveland.
have exceeded everybody's expectations.
I want them to be the 8th seed. I want them to play Cleveland.
You want them to get swept?
I don't see them playing. I disagree with you on that front. I see them playing Cleveland better. I think they could win a series. They could win a series versus Cleveland.
No, I understand. Toronto's phenomenal in the regular season, but if you watch them in the playoffs, they really don't. It doesn't translate into the postseason for some weird reason.
This year it will, though.
I think you're right about that.
I just want them to get in. I don't care if 7 or 8.
Give me it. I want them in too.
But, when we come back, we're going to talk about the Tigers opening day. As this podcast comes out, it will be opening day for the Tigers.
My goodness gracious, and I cannot wait on the Motor City Sports Rant, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Let me tell you about my friends at Fanatic U. Head on down to Fanatic U, where they have it all from jerseys, hats, to autographed bats. Now with 6 locations in the metropolitan area, Garden City, Taylor, Southfield, Fraser, Novi, and now their newest location in downtown Detroit, right across the street from Ford Field. The boys love it, and so do I. Fanatic U. Everything for the Fanatic U. Motor City Sports Rant, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. You guys ready for opening day?
I am. I'm ready.
I cannot wait for Tigers baseball.
In some ways, I'm still reticent to really like baseball.
Mm-hmm. What?
I'm not I'm a huge football fan. I love football. I love hockey. And for the longest time, before the Tigers, when they sucked, I've always said baseball is very, very, very boring. And I mean, in fairness, it is a boring sport, right? If you're just watching a random game in the middle of summer, baseball's kind of boring. It can be boring.
It's America's pastime. And when your team's relevant, it's fantastic. And when I used to think the same thing when I was a kid, and then I got a little bit older and I started watching it, and I started noticing a trend. The Detroit Lions suck every year. But there's this one team that, for some weird reason, is always contending for championships, and it just... Ever since like 2006, I've just been fascinated by it.
Can you really get excited though? Can you really get excited though about Kyle Ryan going up against the Miami Marlins?
I thought Verlander was starting against the Marlins.
I'm just saying, like, this is a random
in the
game.
Middle of the season,
or going up against Minnesota and whoever.
Well, you're not going to watch every single game, Jason. I mean, come on, you know where my head's at with this.
I get it. Opening day is it's essentially a holiday around here.
Mm-hmm. I was down there last year, and it was a nightmare. It was the worst day of my life.
I think it's a shame, though, that we have to open the season against Miami.
That is
our
so
bad. Our first game isn't at home.
Interleague play against the Florida Marlins.
I don't like it.
Well, at least you get to see Justin Verlander.
I agree.
And then you're going up against a lefty named Wei Yin Chen.
Wei Yin Chen.
I don't want to see that. I want to see, Verlander pitching against the Yankees at Comerica Park.
What time's the game?
It's at 7:10.
7:10.
Oh, evening. Okay.
Now I am excited for the next game. I think Verlander is going to have a good game. He probably gets the win. That second game, you're going to get it's going to be your first time to really see Zimmerman, unless you sat through some of those spring training games to see what he was like. But you get to see that. What is it, Jose Fernandez? But anyways, you get to see Fernandez against, I think, Miami. He's an up and coming pitcher. That's a game that I wouldn't mind watching because it's going to be a really good pitching. And I think you have to pick and choose your baseball games that you see, whether it's turning it on at night or if you're actually going to go down to the ballpark and watch. All right. So the Pistons opening day roster. How do you feel about it?
The Pistons opening day roster.
Pistons, Tigers, whatever. We're talking. My mind's on the Pistons because they're the team that's actually going to be going to the playoffs soon. The Tigers. They finalized their roster. They got a lot of pitchers on there. You got James McCann and Jared Saltalamacchia at catcher. Mike Aviles, Miguel Cabrera, Nick Castellanos, Jose Iglesias, Kinsler, and Romine on your infielders. Tyler Collins, Anthony Gose, JD Martinez, Justin Upton are your outfielders, and Victor Martinez your designated hitter. And like you were saying, their disabled list right now, they got some of our main guys there. Jeff Farrell, Blaine Hardy, not really a big deal.
I can't stand
Cameron Maben, who was supposed to be our starting center fielder.
Jesus.
Angel Nesbitt, Daniel Norris, and Alex Wilson.
Well, what's that? I'm sorry.
The big names on there are obviously Maben, Norris, and Wilson.
I think with the exception of Farrell, all of them are pretty significant because their bullpen, like they addressed their needs, and now they got, what is it, 5 guys on the DL? I mean, granted, it's 15 days, but I still think that's a pretty
I'm
big
not really
deal.
worried about Farrell, Hardy, Nesbitt.
I mean, Blaine
not
Hardy.
worried about.
I can't believe he didn't get sent down.
Cameron Maben, though, is a little bit more interesting just because, I don't think we really knew what he was going to give us. We signed him in the offseason to be our new center fielder, and now he had the fractured wrist, and now we're back to Anthony Ghost in center field.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he comes back soon. I know he's been throwing a little bit, but there's really no timetable. Mm-hmm. Daniel Norris, the injury that he has sounds horrible. Left lumbar spine fracture.
God, it sounds like something I have.
But apparently he has started throwing from 90 feet away. Mm-hmm. And I think they're optimistic that he comes back from that 15-day DL. Mm-hmm. Alex Wilson, I think, is probably the big name. You think Daniel Norris, you were going to hope that he was going to be that 5th starter. But Alex Wilson was really a guy who came out last year when our bullpen was just in shambles, and he gave us some sort of just a foundation.
Mm-hmm. I didn't hear that he came out. That's news.
John, you're hilarious. Shut up.
Hanging around Vinny too much.
Go back to your phone.
John's starting to learn. Yeah, it took a long time, but he's starting to get his act together.
Just looking at the roster, do you think they made the right choice trading away Brian Holiday?
Yeah, I think he deserves it. The guy's a starter, no doubt about it. Now, you know what? I think Jared Saltalamacchia is a shell of his former self. I mean, he did pretty good in Texas, but after playing for the Rangers, I mean, that was like in 2010. I mean, he really hasn't done anything since like 2012.
What do you think that split's going to be between McCann and Salty?
70-30. McCann's going to... I don't know how good of a game Jared Saltalamacchia can call. And I remember that they kept Alex Avila after they fired Dave Dombrowski because, Avila's average is always in the toilet, but you don't care if you can call a good game, and he called a better game than James McCann, but McCann was more of a leader, and his average is over 280. He had more power.
That is one thing that I'll be looking for this season. I remember reading an article that said James McCann and Jared Saltalamacchia. God, that's a goddamn name.
Saltalamacchia.
Saltalamacchia.
Took me like 2 years. Don't worry about it.
They are two of the worst catchers in baseball to frame pitches. Mm-hmm. And that's a big thing for a catcher. To be a successful catcher is to, when your pitcher isn't, on his mark, it's framing that pitch so that you're getting a better call than if it is a little bit outside, you're catching it and making it look like it's a strike. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I would have liked to see Holiday here. I mean, is it mainly just because that he should have been a starter? Is that why they traded him away, that they didn't want to have McCann and Holiday here?
I think that this is what it is. Holiday's a good catcher, but he's not as good of a catcher as McCann. I think McCann probably calls him, I don't know personally, but I think that Brad Ausmus and Al Avila, they got together and they decided, look, the guy's good enough to start on the team. We need to add prospects to our team because that's the direction we're going. And I think this guy can start, but, let's help this guy out and let's help ourselves out at the same time. We have Jared Saltalamacchia, and we already know that James McCann's going to get the majority of the starts. Let's
move on from catchers.
Reward this guy for all he's done for us.
Exactly.
That's what I was looking for.
The bullpen has definitely improved this season, right? Mm-hmm. They went out and got Francisco Rodriguez.
On paper.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that I look at when I see all the pitchers, we had a lot of righties again. Mm-hmm. Are you worried that we don't have enough left-handed pitchers? Because right now, all that we have Kyle Ryan and Justin Wilson. That's on the roster right now.
I like Justin Wilson. Justin Wilson shows a lot of promise. You forgot about Blaine Hardy, but he's on the DL. That guy is so bad. He can just stay on the DL.
Daniel Norris will be a lefty presence once he comes back.
For some weird reason, they always are struggling with the lefties. What is going on?
John, do you have any comment?
They did address the bullpen, but they are lacking lefties.
You know what? Even though they are lacking prominent left-handed bats, Saltalamacchia is a switch hitter. You got Vimard.
And arms.
Yeah, and arms too. I know they're going to count on Daniel Norris being there and the guys in the bullpen. I don't think that really makes a big difference. But, in terms of talking about the Tigers, I think the biggest thing that you got to worry about, fellas, injuries. A lot of injuries in spring training. Lots of situations where you have a lot of question marks with guys that you're counting on. you know, you guys, it sounds like you're saying you're not really happy with the shakeup of the lineup, with the shakeup of the starters.
I think what we're saying though is that on paper it looks like they've gotten better, and it looks like they're a team that can compete. But is it going to happen? And obviously,
a lot of question marks.
Yeah, there are a lot of question marks, and you'd rather have sure things going for you and knowing what you're having going into opening day. But it's just not going to happen this season.
I got them getting into the wild card. I know last year I had them going 81-81, and they finished in the toilet with like 74 wins, wasn't it? 74 or was it 78? Who gives a shit?
It was bad.
It was really bad. And I have more confidence in them this year on paper. Who knows? I need Victor Martinez to stay healthy. And I need Brad Ausmus to call better games. I mean, I know that the bullpen was bad last year, but the guy could have called a better game. Leyland would pull the guys out too early. This guy leaves them in too late. I read articles saying that, Jim Leyland would talk to his players in the locker room all the time. Ausmus doesn't talk to his players at all. Like, you don't know if there's any chemistry there. Torrey Hunter's been gone. You can tell that there's no leadership really. You need Victor Martinez to stay healthy. Did I already say that? I don't know. On paper, they look much better than they did last year. If you can remember, I was screaming about their bullpen last year, and they addressed it. But I just don't want K-Rod to turn out to be Joe Nathan 2.0, because they always struggle with saving games, with the exception of Jose Valverde when he went off in 2012.
Well, what I think that they can do to help themselves, though, is to get out to a fast start in the season. You don't want to really be behind the 8 ball come May, June. Yeah. And that's something that actually kind of concerns me.
They have 20, it's tough.
They have 24 games in April, and they have Miami, the Yankees, Pittsburgh, Houston, KC, Cleveland, Oakland, and you finished out with Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So those are all going to be tough matchups,
especially with Pittsburgh and Kansas City. Oh, I mean Houston.
Pittsburgh, Houston, Kansas City, Cleveland they have really good pitching, and even Oakland, they have a lot of young arms there. I get 24 games in April. Realistically, where do you see them after
24 games? I hope they're at least 2 games over 500. They got 2 games at home against the Pirates, and then they go to Pittsburgh and play 2 games against the Pirates in Pittsburgh in a 4-game series. What the hell? Have you ever seen anything like that before?
Yeah, it's this unbalanced schedule thing is kind of upsetting everybody. The fact is the Tigers are starting late. Everyone's kind of like, ugh, what's going on? But yeah, I think they're going to struggle to start. I would say maybe around 10, 11 to start. I think they're going to go 10 and 14, 11 and 13 to start the first 24 games. Then I believe after they get the first month of the season out of the way, they'll pick it up. It's going to be tough all the way. A lot of people are saying, again, when you look at it, another 81 to 85 wins, you would say that they can peak at 90 to 95 wins. A lot of things have to go right, but it's going to be a fun ride. The problem is, though, the rest of the division, and Vito's talked about it a lot on his Tigers Talk podcast.
That guy is a guru.
The division's gotten better all around. So no one's it's not a cupcake division.
And the Royals are great, and the White Sox are no joke this year. I mean, mock my words, they are going to be right up there until the end.
I feel like there's still going to be some team, though, that, because you look at all of them, really. Mm-hmm. The Twins, they kind of had a surprise season last year.
Torrey Hunter's gone.
Right.
They're going to miss that leadership big time like the Tigers did.
But they were a surprise. The White Sox have definitely gotten better. They're going to miss Adam LaRoche. Cleveland.
I don't know if they will.
Cleveland. It's gonna be and KC. They're the reigning world champs. You can't turn your head to that. So all those games are gonna be tough.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of see if you can get at 500, if you can go 12 and 12 in the month of April.
Because I was gonna ask all you guys. I got the schedule right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I want all your predictions for the record. John, you look so depressed. I'm about to throw your head through a wall.
You ready? You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, you know what? I've invested now 3 years watching the Tigers, and I'm feeling like the door's closed. I'm trying to think
it's closing?
Yeah, I'm trying to think, what is it going to be that's going to raise my spirits? And I'm thinking, if they just had not hired Brad Ausmus.
That's the thing. I can't stand Brad Ausmus.
I feel like we'd be in the World Series, and Jarvi kind of sucked the life out of me with baseball, too. It's going to be a long season. I feel like, what it's going to be?
There'll be a wild card.
It's going to be like another Pistons season where it's going to be 81 wins, 81 losses.
84
some good wins, some good streaks. I just feel like it's going to be an 81 season, finishing out not in the playoffs.
Vegas has them at 85 wins.
But the good thing, though, if you want to look at it, some positives, they did mash the hell out of the baseball in spring training. If that can carry over, it'll be exciting. At least if they can,
they'll get in.
You think so? Okay, that's
yeah,
good.
but they got to really play good baseball in their division.
They play every team.
Dude, practically, that's just driving me insane about interleague play. Get rid of it. I'm tired of it. You have to play your ass off and get to the World Series to play them. You don't just get to play them. It messes the whole game up. They're two different games.
I don't see us playing the bad teams. I'm looking through the entire season schedule, and Houston used to be that you saw
cupcake, couple wins.
Like you got wins with Houston. Cleveland, they used to be, you'd split it. Baltimore, split it. The only cupcake one I see in here is the Phillies.
Watch your language. Vegas has them at 63 wins.
They're going to be awful, probably.
Good. They need to rebuild. They signed all those players at the World Series at contracts that you wouldn't believe, and it is really backfired in their face.
Like there's just so many up and coming teams. I see. Like we don't have.
Do you think the Mets can win the East again? I had them in the toilet the year before.
I think it's going to be a tight race there between them and the Nationals.
I got the Nationals going to the World Series.
They're
even losing Zimmerman and Pfister. No, they choked last year because of all the hype. You know who's going to choke this year?
KC.
The Cubs?
Who's getting all the Cubs? They're getting all the hype.
We don't play the Cubs at all, which sucks.
Yeah, I do like watching them play.
We don't play the Cubs. We don't play, I feel like all the cupcake teams now are in the National League, and we don't play any of them. We don't play the Rockies. We don't play the
I don't want to play the
Diamondbacks.
Rockies. I can't stand watching them.
Yeah, but we can beat them.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Good point.
I want wins. We're playing we're playing good teams.
I want to
here.
play the Padres every day, or I'm not watching it. You hear me? Listen to me. Damn it. I don't know your
Listen,
name.
MLB.
The commissioner.
Schedule us the Padres for every game.
Please. You got them at 12-12 at the end of April.
I see.
Record. Here's the schedule. Look at it.
11-13.
What? Wow. I want to go 14-10. You happy?
You have them with a good start. Interesting.
I have them with a good start. I have them splitting a lot of these games. Oh, there's 3-game series. They're at home against Oakland for all 4 of those games. They can go 3-1 in that. They could sweep Cleveland.
Oakland's a good
Split
team.
it with Pittsburgh. Go 2-1 against the Yankees. Get swept by the Astros. And probably get swept by the Royals.
All right, before we look ahead to the month, what are you doing Friday for opening day? Where's Vinny Stubbs going to hang in? Work?
Yeah, till 2 o'clock.
Look at you, responsible like me.
It
I'm working
sucks.
too.
I want to jump off the 11th floor. I don't want to work there.
Listen. Do you want to maybe start coughing around the work office, Wednesday, Thursday, and just kind of take the attitude of, hey, I'm not feeling great. Have a little fun.
I can't do that. I can't afford it.
You're acting responsible. I'm proud of you.
I know. He's got to pay
dude.
$25 to you.
Yeah. I'm hoping.
John, I'm going to give you your money today. Shut up. Jesus. I got to get hit with a $5 fee to withdraw from a bank.
They'll teach you to
Can
learn how
someone
to
please
work PayPal.
message me on Twitter and show me how to use my PayPal? Because John won't do it.
Yeah, just send Vinny. Just send whoever contacts you
A lot of money. Credit card.
Send me your credit card number,
The last 3 digits on the back.
the PIN, the VPN number, your social security number, your address.
Oh, Vinny, I didn't tell you. Yeah, you to do a podcast
What?
with the network, you got to send us. Jarvi did your social security number.
The hell no.
You sure?
You got to be kidding. He's laughing. You guys want to go to a break?
No, I don't want to go to a break. I want to go. I want to do Doc or Duck.
You want to do Dr. Duck now or after the break?
I want to do it now because I want to split
Okay,
it
I'll
up.
wrap up. All right, here we go.
So I got the music on. So play it, John. Dr. Duck. You know how it goes. We've been doing it now for 2 weeks. You missed last week.
Look, my balls.
So, again, I got 3 questions for you guys.
Why's it got to be 3 now?
Because it has to be 3.
All right.
Because it's easy. Because then I have to do 5. Because there has to be a winner. There can't be 2. Can't be 4.
Oh, but just pull it out
Gotta
and
be
give it to me.
an odd number. Who wants to go first here? Do you want to? Let's see. Who won the last one? I think John won the last one.
I
didn't
think
you?
Vinny should go first. He had a celebratory weekend. He made a nice new friend. So I think he should go
Okay.
first.
Thanks, John.
All right. So first question on Dr. Duck, Vinny. Who will be the closer for the Tigers at the end of the year? Right now, it's Francisco Rodriguez. Will Bruce Rondon show up at some point? Or is it going to be some other guy? Maybe it's Shane Green. Or maybe it's none of those guys. Maybe he isn't even on the roster right now.
Oh,
What do you
man,
think?
You're hitting me with a tough question right off the bat. Oh, man, I really like the addition to K-Rod. Bruce Rondon has showed time and time again his arm just cannot stay healthy. He's on the 15-day DL. I guess he got his act together. He's a lazy guy. I'm sure they'll show brief stints of him coming up and maybe pitching in the 8th inning. You might see glimpses of what the hell's his name? He's on the DL right now, Wilson,
Nesbitt.
and Nesbitt too. But for the entire season, I got Francisco Rodriguez as the closer. Man, he's here to stay. He's the real deal.
Doc.
All right, do I get penalized?
And I'm going out on a limb by saying that.
I know.
I could be totally wrong. I can look like a total
He could be
dickhead.
Joe Nathan too. Or
I
he
know.
could, who was the guy that we traded
Valverde.
away? No,
Soria.
Yeah.
All right, hit me with that question. What's the question?
Oh, come on. I
Are
should
you serious?
deduct points for you for
should.
not
He
listening.
lost.
Who will be the closer for the Tigers at the end of the year?
Oh, no, that's a no-brainer. It's going to be Francisco Rodriguez. Now, the concern is his velocity is going to be a little bit down. It has been, but he's developed the art of pitching. I do believe that he's going to have the confidence, and he's going to be able to also benefit from this improved offense. I mean, I think he's not going to be in so many one-run games in tight situations with that offense. I'm hoping that he gets a chance to kind of come in and actually not have that many saves, but just get a chance to work just based on the fact that, you know, when closers are in opportunities, they got to get in a rhythm, so they got to pitch. No, you can't boo me. I agree with that. I think he's not going to have that many saves because this offense is going to help. This offense is going to help the pitching staff.
How many saves does he get?
He's going to have 41 saves.
That's a lot of saves.
That is a lot of saves.
Where's your head at?
I think you're kind of crazy.
Say 31.
You guys both said the same guy, but I'm giving this one to Vinny.
Thank you very
Mainly
much.
because you didn't listen to the question for the first one.
I agree with Jarvi on that one.
That's Bush League, sir. But you get the first question, so listen to this one. Are you ready?
I got it.
Are you sure?
I got it. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Red Wings. Not sure if they're going to get in the playoffs yet. They only have 3 games left. But going forward, what do the Wings need to do to get back to being the team that we knew and loved from seasons past?
They got to start hanging out with Vinny, relaxing a little bit when they hang out.
I think that might make them worse. I might just say Vinny won for this one.
Well, they're going to play Philly, Boston, and the Rangers. So here's what they got to do. Start Jimmy Howard, who's been ultra confident the last couple of games, has been a lot better than Peter Mrazek, but it's probably due to Mrazek's injury. Both of them, both goaltenders have dealt with groin injuries throughout this last couple of seasons. But Jimmy Howard in the last week has really played well. And what you've seen now in the last couple of games is something that has been, when you look at it, if you look at the stats, the Wings need to get out early and score first. In the last stretch of games in February, they would start the game down 1-0, 2-0. But in the last stretch of games, they've been able to kind of understand that it's go time. It's time to really put forth as much effort as you can and put the puck in the net. That's what they got to do. They got to score, they got to defend, and Jimmy Howard's got to carry them. Can it happen? I believe it's going to come down to that Rangers game. Chicago did us a favor by destroying Boston. I appreciate that. Boston's been struggling. I know we kind of need a little bit of luck and hoping that the other teams kind of falter. But hey, win your games and don't worry about the other teams. But the biggest key, Jimmy Howard and that offense coming out and starting the games hot.
Vinny Stubbs, the Duck. What do the Wings need to do to get back to the team that we knew and loved from seasons past?
Well, this is what they should have done. The past few seasons, they've always acquired really talented players from other teams at the All-Star break to bolster their team and make the playoffs and make a push. And they're not doing that this year because I believe that Illich has all of his money put into the Tigers, and they're failing as well. But this is what they need to do. They're very young, but they didn't implode, and they're building. I like what I'm seeing from the forward, Anthony Mantha, Aston Aseu, whatever the hell his name is, and Dylan Larkin. I think that they could build on that. I think they lack depth. They're horrible at defense, and every time I look at the game, the shots on goal differentiate. It's terrible. It's like as soon as they turn the game, 22 shots to 9 shots. I'm like, what is going on? They need to get more shots on goal, and they need to play better defense. I don't care how brutal Jimmy Howard is. They have to play better defense no matter who the goalie is. The future looks bright. Get better on defense.
Wow.
The future's bright with Vinny Stubbs. The future is bright.
Whoa.
That's pretty good.
This is surprising. I have to give this round to Vinny Stubbs.
Again, thank you very much.
Again, it's crazy.
I've been on Brazzers all week, folks.
It's amazing. I
Thank
never
you
would have
very
thought.
much.
I got to get
Stubbs,
that.
He already has this locked in.
He's got it locked in. He's got that special treatment.
John, you need to get this one.
I got to go hang out with Vinny. Hangs out.
I think he already lost.
I already lost.
He already has lost.
Just hit me with the music.
But he could get swept right here. Go for the sweep, and you get the first crack of this last question.
Oh my God, it's going to be really
Last
tough.
question. Opening day on Friday. where is the best place to watch opening day? Now, it doesn't matter where you're going to watch it this week. Is it watching it at home? Are you sitting at the couch watching the game? Are you going down to the bar, whether it's just in your local pub or if you're going downtown to the actual bars downtown Detroit? Or are you going to the game to watch that opening day matchup?
Well, I got to be honest with you. The capacity in downtown Detroit on opening day is so out of control. And last year I hung out with Adam Straczynski at the Fillmore.
The dock.
It was so out of control and brutal. There was too many people. I stood in line for like 45 minutes to urinate. I mean, and for what? I mean, it's baseball. I get it. It's great. I didn't even get to watch the game. Everybody was drunk. I care about the game itself. I want to know what's going on. And last year I was with a train wreck dumpster fire of a hooker. She ruined my entire day. And it's just, there's too many damn people. I couldn't urinate. Beer is $10 a beer, and then I'm paying for someone else. Adam's annihilated. His sister's annihilated. No one can speak English. I'd rather just go home and watch it in my damn living room. I don't want to look at anybody. I'll get pneumonia. I just don't want to be around people, period.
You just
Unless
want
it's
to
you
watch
guys.
the game.
And John just wants $25.
John Macaroon.
Based on what I
Better
need,
come strong.
I have to, but I agree with Vinny wholeheartedly. But another place, though, you can go is an adult establishment. And I'll tell you why.
I was going to say that.
You want to know why?
God, I was
It's
going to say
great.
that.
There is, capacity. They have a lot of TVs. And
Damn it.
if you want good food,
Oh,
adult establishment food is really
just
good.
knocked it out of the park.
Steaks.
Damn it.
A lot of them will have buffets. And then actually when the Tigers are down 4-0, at that point you can just divert your attention to the entertainment. So I've never done it yet. I might have to partake in the next few years, but I've never gone to an adult establishment on opening day. But I don't want to go to a crowd and get all sloshed.
What are you going to do
done
there?
it. This year I'm working, but I think
No,
that
what would you do in an adult establishment?
I would have a couple
You're gonna
cocktails.
get sloshed.
No, they're expensive drinks there too.
Ah, damn it.
Drinks are pricey everywhere you go out, but it's a nice place because of the food and the atmosphere and, to provide for the additional, because I know Jason said the baseball's a little bit boring. And I do agree a little bit. Maybe opening day you pay a little bit more attention, but there's nothing better than a couple dancers having a good old time.
Oh,
so
I love it.
that's probably the best place to watch it outside of home.
Damn you, John. I had you in the Steiner recliner and I let your ass go.
Now, if Vinny was judging Doc or Duck, he probably would give this one to you. But your problem here is that you thought like Vinny. You thought Vinny had some role. He was on some kind of method, and it didn't work for me.
Oh.
You got to watch it from home.
You have to.
I don't want to go to the strip club watch the game.
You go for the second game.
You got to go with me. That's why.
You don't want to go with John. You stay away from me.
Yeah, I'm going by myself.
I'm bad enough. Like, if we
But
had John, it's
anyways,
really bad.
You go home, you can flip around, you can watch other games, you can watch another channel, you can go to your fridge. Stuff doesn't cost $10, and I do not want to eat anything from a strip club.
Yes, you do.
Yes,
I
you
don't.
do.
I don't want a $7 steak. It's probably been
It's like
chopped on the
$15.
ground.
Yeah.
I don't want the Fremunda cheese.
Do you know
on
what they
my
use as
steak.
seasoning?
Yeah, Fremunda cheese.
They wipe the poles down with the steak when it's raw.
Oh god. So, Vinny, clean sweep.
Sweep.
You should
Yes.
feel ashamed.
Yes.
You need to come strong next time.
Do I get a theme? That's my theme? Nah.
You won this
The
round
Duck
this
won.
week. Good job. I'm proud of you.
Clean sweep.
You better come hard next week.
I will.
If you don't,
That's
I'm-
that 10 hours of editing.
shame
I
on
did.
you.
Yeah, that's what happens when Vinny Stubbs sends you a podcast, and you got to make sure it gets on air the right way.
Dude, I'm so sorry about that. That'll never happen again. I'm so embarrassed.
It'll probably happen next week, but we got some more stuff.
Yeah,
coming
let's
after
go
the
to
break.
let's go to the break. Let's
Talk
talk
a
about
little bit Red Wings.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about the Red? You guys
Little
talk
bit
about
of
the
Red
Red
Wings.
Wings. I seen some article about the TJ Jones that I got to bring up, and the Jeff Schwartz man. I didn't even talk and Stephen Ridley. I didn't get to talk to you about that last week.
Right.
Then we got pros and cons.
Length of girth.
On the Motor City Sports Rant, Detroit Sports Podcast.com.
If you've enjoyed what you've been listening to, please support us by visiting our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com, the hub of our operation, where you can go to download each and every podcast that we air each and every day. One of the best podcast networks out there, recognized by a lot of great organizations. Detroit Sports Podcast Network. If you're a fan of the Lions, if you're a fan of the Tigers, Doc and Jock, Motor City Sports Rant, great sports interviews. Go check them out. Support us by visiting our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. And now back to Jarvi and Stubbs on the Motor City Sports Rant.
Motor City Sports Rant, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Oh my goodness gracious, folks. We just killed this podcast. $25. About $25. All right. You guys want to talk about your Red Wings?
We can talk about Lions a little bit.
Okay, cool. Listen. I like the signing of the tackle, Jeff Schwartz. The guy's injury prone, as you all know. But, they went out and they addressed one of their needs, even though I don't think the guy's going to play 6 games without, turning out to be Jason Jones 2.0 on the other side of the ball. But they're trying to address the needs, and that's all that matters. Is he here to take over Michael Ole's spot or Riley Reeve? Who knows? And
Did
then
we
they
re-sign
signed
that Ola guy.
Ola. Is it Ole or Ola?
I think it's Ola.
Last time I looked at the depth chart, it was today. He's still on there. So I don't know. Is Stephen Tolick on the Lions?
I think he still is.
So he's still a part of the Lions. So they add Jeff Schwartz, and then they signed Stephen Ridley. First of all, the guy's smaller than Joik Bell. He got hurt last year, but he had 36 rushing yards for the Jets for 90 yards, which is worse than Joik Bell. I think Bell had 3.3 rushes per carry.
So thumbs down on Ridley?
I don't know yet. I see what Bob Quinn's trying to do, but I don't think it's going to work because only Bill Belichick can work with those kind of players.
Here's what I'm going to say about Stephen Ridley is I don't think he's that far away because he was the feature back for a year in New England, and I know he had some fumbling issues, which I know you're not a fan of, obviously with Amir Abdullah. He's definitely not the starter, and right now I see our running back core. We don't have a starter. We have Theo Riddick, we have Amir Abdullah, and now we have Stephen Ridley. I mean, you can throw Zach Zenner in there if you want. I guess.
I'm not throwing him in there.
But of those 4 guys, you don't have a 3-down running back. Theo Riddick isn't really. He's good in packages. I think his greatest where you can put him best on the field is having him either come out of the backfield or lining him up as a wide receiver. Amir Abdullah, I think he's still unproven. I think if anybody, he's probably the closest to a 3-down running back.
I agree.
Stephen Ridley would have to have some kind of resurgence to really make a difference on this team. Mm-hmm. I think he's more than likely just a depth guy who Bob Quinn knows who he knows who he is. He knows what he brings to the team, and we're likely, unless an injury pops up, we're probably not going to see a lot of Stephen Ridley.
So the signing is just for no reason.
It's to add depth.
Yeah.
I don't hate the signing.
I don't either, but I'm not infatuated by it.
Right, and I think that's what we said is going forward, they're not going to make any more big splashes.
Yeah, I know.
The next big thing that you're going to see is the draft, and I think that's still a big question mark as well.
Ezekiel Elliott.
And the biggest news the Lions made this week is Rod Wood came out again and said that, he came out and really kind of put a dagger into the fans and saying, listen, we want that dollar, and we're going to suck it out no matter what. We're going to get it.
He's going to suck it out.
He's going to get it out. He's going to
raising ticket prices.
Still looking
so they can afford a dietitian and a new weight room.
That is some spin if I ever heard it. I don't know how the Lions organization could look and talk to the fans and say, we want more money. We want to raise your prices more. I really think that, if you heard, I don't know if you watch soccer too much, but Liverpool, the soccer club.
No,
in
we
England,
don't even talk about it.
I'm going to tell you real fast.
I'd rather listen to WrestleMania.
No, let me tell you what happened. They wanted to raise the prices so much, so the fans got together in unison and collectively during a game where they're so passionate and things, and got up and left and staged a protest. And actually Liverpool said, oh, you know what? Let's take a look at this. We've really hurt our fans. And they stopped the price increase.
It's because soccer fans are smarter than
the
NFL fans.
What the hell
NFL fans are sheep.
The fans should unite, really. And if they want the prices to stay the same, they have to kind of really buckle down and not pay it.
I was saying the same exact thing the other day. And you know what's crazy about the touchbacks? If you run the ball out of the end zone, you get tackled at the 19, they reward you by not taking it back, and they start at the 25-yard line.
I think what you're going to start seeing, though, and I get it.
Arena football in the NFL?
No, I think what you're going to see is guys, because once they instituted kicking off from
the 35-yard line.
Right.
What's the point?
You saw the kickoffs were going away because they were just booing them out of the end zone. I think what you're actually going to see now is that 5 yards that you're going to have kickers trying to kick it before it gets in the end zone.
That would be awesome.
So, and I think that's good for the game because they're saying by kicking out of the end zone, you're still trying to take away the safety aspect, or you're putting the safety aspect in there.
Yeah.
But you're making coaches question now. Do you want to just kick it up to that around the 5-yard line, make them run it out, and with them kicking off at the 35, they are going to be closer. So I think it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting, and we're going to have to see what happens throughout the season, and we're going to have to give it at least 1 year to see how
they said they're giving it 1 year to see how it goes. I think the fans should explode with furious anger and show it by not going to the games.
All right, you said real fast you want to touch on the Red Wings. Big week for them. Are
Yes,
they in the playoffs?
Can I say something with the Lions real quick?
Hurry up.
Before you talk about the Red Wings, I'm sorry. I seen an article on Detroit Free Press. I don't know who wrote it, but it pissed me off. TJ Jones, a more prominent threat this year via Detroit Free Press. And I put LOL. 10 receptions for 132 yards and 1 touchdown. I would hope he would be more of a prominent threat than last season. Continue with your
How
Red
many games
Wings.
did he actually play, though?
It doesn't matter.
I think he didn't play the full season.
I mean, with numbers like that, and how could you even get away with writing an article about that? That's like me writing an article on John's ass crack.
One of these receivers is going to have to complain because there's going to be a lot of attention for Matthew Stafford to spread the ball around. Marvin Jones.
I think TJ
Curly.
Jones, though, is that Curly is not the third receiver.
You won't even see him.
I think TJ Jones is likely going to be competing for that third spot. It's Golden Tate, Marvin Jones, and then it's going to be some combination of Corey Fuller, TJ Jones, and Curly, unless they go out in the draft and draft somebody.
Okay.
Hopefully not in the first round.
Is Lance Moore gone? No, he's on the Lions. We still got Lance Moore.
Is still the third
We still
guy.
have Lance Moore.
Some competition at wide receiver.
Yeah.
But yeah, Red Wings. It's a very
Crunch time. Big week. Is it?
huge week.
I just looked at the standings. Oh my God. Where have I been?
They have 3 games. So here's how it is. I'm going to break it down for all of you.
I see it.
3 games left. And
Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday.
they're in a tie with Philadelphia and Boston. All have 91 points. So right now, we currently have a 1-point lead over Boston for third. And both of those teams, Boston and Detroit, both have 3 games left. We play Philadelphia, Boston, and the Rangers. So 2 of those teams we're directly competing with. Mm-hmm. And the 3 games Boston has, they have Carolina, us, and Ottawa. Philadelphia, 91 points right now. They have 4 games left. They have Detroit, Toronto, Pittsburgh, and the Islanders. I'm saying for Detroit to get into the playoffs this year, they need to win at least 2 of these games, and one of those games has to be Boston.
What about Philadelphia?
No, I think the first game is the most important because they're right there. I do believe Philadelphia is an important game.
They got to be Philly, dude.
But I think here's my premise. You can lose the Philly game.
You could. Potentially.
You need to beat Boston because Boston is who you're directly competing with. Mm-hmm. And Boston has a very easy schedule. They have Carolina and Ottawa. All their games are at home, by the way. Carolina and Ottawa, they've been playing okay, but both of them have recently been eliminated from playoff standing.
But see, what the tougher situation is, though, that game versus Boston's on the second end of a back-to-back. And so it's super tough coming off of what Philadelphia usually does to the Red Wings. So that's why I feel like if they were to put all their eggs in one basket and try to go for the first 2 points, you probably want to do it versus Philadelphia because it's super tough. Your legs aren't with you. It's a situation where, the Wings all year on the second leg of back-to-backs just haven't been that great. So I know I'm saying I agree with you. Getting as many points as possible is definitely recommended, but I would say you got to load up that first game.
Here's how I say it, though. So let's just say we do win Philadelphia, and then we lose to Boston, and we beat the Rangers. Boston, they're likely going to beat Carolina, and then they will have beaten us, and then it all comes down to Ottawa. So if they win all 3 of those games, they finish better than us. So then you have to hope that Philadelphia, between Toronto, Pittsburgh, and the Islanders, that they lose 2 of those games at least. And then I think at that point you're tied with Philadelphia. I'm not sure do you know who has the tiebreaker? Does Philadelphia have the tiebreaker over us?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so.
So I mean, if we beat them, they can They have 3 games then to win 2. They'd be in our situation where they have to win 2 of 3, which 2 of those games are going to be tough. Toronto is most likely to win, though. I think you have to win the game against Boston. Boston is you have to win that game. Philadelphia isn't necessary because beating Boston means that you're getting that 3rd spot in the Atlantic. Mm-hmm. That I think that's what you got to go for. I think the wild card is almost pretty much lost unless Philadelphia completely collapses,
which they won't. But they're not going to. Who they're going to play? The Capitals.
They have tough matches.
Get your draft pick. Who cares?
With Detroit and Toronto, those are going to be. Detroit will be a tough game. Toronto is probably a win, but Pittsburgh and the Islanders are going to be tough games.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, so what do you think? Do you think...
I don't think you guys are getting in. And I called at the beginning of the year in October, and I know the least amount of hockey than both of you guys combined.
Which it doesn't really mean anything because you don't know anything about it.
I know, but
you just said, we're going to make it.
Well, I learned a lot this year.
John,
good.
I know more than I ever did.
What do you think's going to happen?
The cream rises to the top. Jimmy Howard's going to play well. This team's done it before. If you just look at the last 3-4 years, they've won and gotten to the playoffs. The second to last game, the last game, so they know what's going to happen. And they've been down in games recently, and they've come back to win. I believe they're gonna win 2 of the next 3 games, and they're going to get into the postseason.
You don't want them to get a draft pick? You'd rather see them get the playoffs?
No, get to the playoffs. You
and
never
play
know.
The Capitals?
If Jimmy Howard gets hot, you never know. He could carry you for a couple rounds.
Their defense is brutal.
Hey, just get in, and it starts over. All that's happened before is erased, and you start a new series. So let's see what happens.
All right, I got the Flyers getting in, but I think you guys are a better organization, and you'll be in contention next year.
I don't know.
You'll be at least a 6 seed.
I want them to get in. It's going to be really, really tough.
Yeah.
Philadelphia and Boston are no joke.
Yeah, and you guys played more games than both of them. You guys have 2 games on the Islanders and a game on Philadelphia. You ready for pros and cons or length or girth?
Which one do you want? Pros and cons.
All right.
I don't have any music for this.
My pro is the Detroit Pistons, believe it or not, won on the road and they beat the Chicago Bulls. They beat the Chicago Bulls for the second time in Chicago this year, and both games were absolutely outstanding. I am in love with this team on offense. I wish their defense would get their act together. And Andre Drummond, stop watching WrestleMania. Get your free throws under control. We got to go to the playoffs. We got to do this. That's my pro.
My pro, I'll stick with the Pistons. I'm going to go KCP specifically.
All day.
He's really stepped up his game, especially towards the end of the season. And that's what we've said, is that we need to see him develop. And hopefully he just keeps developing. And our core, especially with Tobias Harris here now, I think we have a core starting group that can really take us far in the future.
Mm-hmm. My con is the Detroit Red Wings. Mike Babcock leaving screwed not one hockey team, but 2, because not only are the Red Wings bad, but the Toronto Maple Leafs are still bad. And I'm hearing, I didn't read any articles on it, but I'm hearing things swirling around saying that the Red Wings don't get into the playoffs. Jeff Blashill's fired in just 1 season. I mean, that 24 years must be really hanging over those kids' heads. I feel bad for them. My con's the Detroit Red Wings.
My con
thus
is
far
the Oklahoma Sooners basketball team.
Oh man,
they made it all the way to the Final Four. They're a number 2 seed going up against another 2 seed in Villanova, a private school, and you got trounced by over 40.
Was it like 91-52 or something like that?
It was bad. It was just sick. Buddy Hield, what the hell are you doing?
Wow,
they're my con.
You think Villanova's going to beat North Carolina? You going to save it?
No, I think UNC wins.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and be a dark horse and say that Villanova's going to win. Don't you ever sneeze on this podcast again, John. Son of a bitch. All right, let's do length or girth. Yeah. It's time for length or Jason and King Jarvi. Your Detroit Red Wings. You are 40, 28, and 11. Detroit Red Wings have 91 points. 79 games played. And are on the outside looking in.
They're currently in the playoffs.
I don't give a shit. This is length or girth. Jeff Blashill's tenure with the Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, it's going to be length.
You think so?
They're giving him more time. This is just his first year. I think all those are just rumors and speculation. Mm-hmm. There's no way that they're going to cut him after 1 year. The players like him, and I think they do have a young core. They're going to need an offseason. If anything, I think Ken Holland is the guy who's on the hot seat.
Really?
Yeah, he hasn't made moves. He hasn't gone out and got the top free agent talent that this team needs to succeed. We don't have any defense.
Excellent point. You guys do not have any defense. But if they don't make the playoffs, he's fired.
No, he's not. You're
I
done.
don't know, man. That's not what I'm hearing. But I could be wrong. But I could be right. Question number 2.
I am not.
Another Jeff, but he spells his name differently. Newly acquired tackle from the Detroit Lions, Jeff Schwartz, staying healthy. Lions, Linkler. God, the Lions piss me off.
I mean, I don't really know too much. Has he had injury problems before? Do you know?
He's been hurt the last 2 years, I believe. With I forget where the injury. It's below his pelvic area where John just loves staring.
I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be Girth. If the guy is injury prone, he's more than likely gonna get hurt again. I don't want him to get hurt, but more than likely it's gonna be Girth.
I don't even know what to say because I agree 100%. So I'm just going to skip that. Girth. I wish I had just length or girth. I would just take either or. Oh, my goodness gracious. Jarvi, I'm so proud of the Detroit Pistons.
Are you at the last question? You still got one more?
I'm crumbling up the paper.
It's a little early for that, though.
I know. 8th or 7th seed, I am so damn proud, and I called it again. At the beginning of the year, the Pistons would make the playoffs. The Pistons playoff run. Jason the King, Jarvi. Length or girth?
It's unfortunately going to be Girth. I just don't. I think this team has the building blocks going forward. And Stan Van Gundy, what he's done in 2 years is amazing. He's built this team, but it's going to be Girth this year. Whether it's Toronto, whether it's Cleveland, it would take it would literally be you'd have to have Middle Tennessee State against Michigan State. Every single game of that series. We'd have to play perfect games, and I don't think they know how to come.
Come on, man! Why are you gonna do this?
Night in and night out. So Girth.
Oh my God, I want to go Girth too. I want to see him get the 7th seed and play Toronto. I don't want to play Cleveland and get swept. John, you're going to get your $25 stop. God, you added nothing to this show the entire time. Shame on you.
I just concur to that
Watching
point.
WrestleMania while we're talking about length or girth.
I wish you want to be entertained. You guys are very entertaining. And,
shut the
He's
hell up.
constantly checking his phone, making sure the money clears.
All he cares about is his phone and revenue. Jesus Christ, enjoy your life, John. You're going to be 50 years old one day.
Dang.
Exactly.
Lucky idiot.
Oh, my God.
You're a dick.
Finny.
Idiot. You know the Montreal Canadiens started off with the best record in all the NHL with the first month
They
of,
collapsed.
and they're not going into the playoffs?
You know, there's no Canadian team in the NHL playoffs for the first time in 40, 60 years.
Are you
That's awesome.
serious?
Yeah.
Did you know the Toronto Maple Leafs are the worst team in the Eastern Conference? All right, well, that'll wrap it up.
Are you guys having a killer time?
No.
You're going to be in a little bit because where are you going? You're going
I'm going to go to the
bar?
damn bank and get this guy $40. You got the $15?
I do.
You're going to follow behind me. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You can...
How's your neck?
bad. You want me to be honest with you. Jason the King, Jarvi, John, the Phone Mac Room. I'm Benny Stubbs. Thank you for listening. Motor City Sports Rant, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. John, your ass crack messed me up.
I caught you a delicious bass.
Okay, nice idiot. F you. Bye-bye.
Shut up. I am not. It's a piece of crap. It doesn't work. Tina, come get some ham. Do the chickens have large talons?
Good day, sir. I said good day.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Loser.
Why don't you go tell your mom to shut up?
Yes?